The Meet Kevin DUI case has finally come to an end, and unfortunately it's not the ending most people were hoping for. If you're unfamiliar with this case, it's one I've been covering for almost a year at this point. Meet Kevin, a financial YouTuber with almost 2 million subscribers, went down to Florida in May of 2022 to see his friend Graham Stephan fight in a boxing match known as Creator Clash. The day before the event, Kevin decided to go to a club and drink, and then went driving. Kevin was later pulled over, and the cops said he smelled alcohol on his breath. Kevin refused a breathalyzer and was then arrested for a DUI. Shortly after this happened, I posted the body cam footage of the arrest, which Kevin filed a false copyright strike and took down. After a few weeks talking with YouTube, I was able to get it restored. Now, since those events in fall of 2022, nothing much has changed with the case. Kevin hired some expensive lawyers who continued to push the date back of the trial, and it seemed like this would go on forever. That all changed this week when the public information officer of the Florida court informed me that Kevin had reached a plea deal with the district attorney. On Monday, February 27, 2023, Kevin Pathrath accepted a plea in absentia. Absentia means Kevin wasn't present. His lawyers did this for him, so the case has been resolved. The charge was reduced to reckless driving, along with a withhold of adjudication. He also has to pay court costs. Adjudication basically means Kevin can be sentenced for the crime without formally being convicted. Now, ultimately, this is a bit of a letdown for people who followed this case. For this to be dragged out for almost a year, and then the state of Florida agrees to a plea deal, is frustrating and raises some questions to how much money the state wasted on this case. If they were going to offer him a plea deal, they should have done it almost a year ago. From Kevin's side, this ultimately wasn't the ending he was looking for. He has repeatedly said he would win the case on his channel, yet now he is pleading guilty to a reckless driving charge. That reckless driving charge will be on his record for a long time and is a Class 2 misdemeanor. It's not a simple traffic infraction, it's a serious crime, and whenever Kevin fills out paperwork asking if he's ever been convicted of a crime, he has to put down reckless driving on any form that asks. Now that this case has come to an end, I wanted to get all sides of the story. A few people have criticized me for not reaching out on other stories in the past, so for this one I reached out first to the district attorney Janeth. I had a few questions for her, such as why the state wasted so much time and money on this case if they always planned to offer a plea deal. Thousands of Florida taxpayer money just went down the drain. I also wanted to know why the state agreed to a plea deal when they had such damning evidence in the body cam footage. That, in my opinion, clearly shows Kevin is drunk. Why does the state of Florida want drunks driving around their streets, potentially injuring themselves and others? If the state doesn't prosecute DUIs and just lowers the punishment to misdemeanors, which seems to be pretty common from what I've seen, this will continue to happen more and more. Now, all of those questions, unfortunately, can't be answered. I called the district attorney's office a total of 5 times, and not once did Janeth ever pick up. So it seems she has no interest in participating in this story. Now, from there, I thought it was only fair to get Meet Kevin's side of the story, so I reached out to him to ask him some questions about the case now that it's over.
What's up, Scott?
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for taking this call.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked on the phone, have we? Just text?
No, we haven't. Just to let you know, this call is being recorded. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, but you have to say recorded and monitored because it's cooler.
Okay, this call's recorded and monitored. You're okay with that?
Hell yeah.
All right, so I just had a few questions about your case. I received an email from the public information officer at the courthouse. It says that on Monday, February 27th, you accepted a plea in absentia, meaning that you weren't there, your lawyer was, and that the case has been resolved. The charge was reduced to reckless driving, along with a withhold of adjudication. Basically, the judge is saying you have to go to probation, and she's not really convicting you of anything. Is that what happened?
That's my understanding. I don't really fully understand everything, like what you just said, but from what my attorney said, it's basically, look, the judge and the other side, they're looking at this and they're saying, look, we can play rodeo or we could just go reckless and be done with it. And no points, no driving school or DUI school or whatever, none of that stuff. It's basically just, hey, like, it's reckless. You pay a few $100 and you move on. And for me, I'm like, okay, so we don't even have to fight. We don't even have to argue. And they're like, exactly. So, yeah,
right.
I said, it sounds good to me.
Is this something that they offered you like 6-7 months ago, or is this brand new?
My understanding is this is brand new, but I don't know if it's ever been offered. It's the first time I heard about it.
It seems like kind of a waste on the state's case to waste a bunch of money to pursue this case if they were just going to always offer you a plea deal later on.
Potentially, although I honestly don't know how much work they did. I mean, My attorney was saying it took him like 8 months to get the dash cam footage, and because apparently they lost it for a period. I have no idea. But what I will say, what's very interesting is apparently when the attorneys told the judge that we're taking it, my attorney called me back and said, "Hey, it's done. By the way, the judge was so relieved because she had been getting so many emails from people about this case. Apparently, like a ton of people were emailing the judge all the time, like who don't like me. And if anything, to me, it sounds like my attorney and I, we were kind of joking. It's like, is that why they offered us this, to get this off their plate, because it was so annoying of a case for them? And so we're like, well, maybe we owe a thank you to all the people who were emailing with hate or whatever. So thank you to those people."
Okay, so originally, I think you said in one of your videos that they couldn't find the dash cam footage. So you're saying they eventually found that?
That's my understanding.
All right. So I know initially you said in your videos that you felt that you were going to win this case, and now you're accepting a plea deal. So are you happy with that, or you feel that you should have just beat the case outright?
Oh, I'm confident I would have won outright, but it's a stress factor, right? When I was a law enforcement explorer, what we were always taught was the process is the punishment. It's usually not the win lose. It's what it is dealing with the attorneys, the emails, the arguing this, responding to letters, and showing it's all of that that's the pain in the ass. Or like your friends being called in for testimony or subpoena. It's all of that garbage that is just not worth it for anybody's time. But for me, I think the big takeaway is, look, first of all, I got myself a designated Mormon, so I don't drive anymore. I can drive. I never lost my license. But he drives everywhere, which is fantastic because he only drinks Diet Coke. And then when we fly, I'm not a pilot, so I don't fly. So so I think the big takeaway is don't drink and drive. And if you've had a few drinks at a restaurant or whatever, check yourself with a breathalyzer. Make sure you're like my thing. And obviously, I'm not an attorney, but I think the best recommendation is you should probably be under like 0.02. Because you don't even want to cut it close. So that'd be my thinking. Hashtag not drunk advice. I don't know.
Okay. So it also says in the email that I received that you have to pay court costs, and I reached out to see if you have to pay the plaintiff's costs, and I wasn't able to. Do you have to pay for the state's cost in this or no?
I was told that whatever the costs are should be so nominal that it would be less than the $500 bond or whatever we paid, which means I'm expecting a check back from the state.
Okay. And so you don't have to go to probation or anything like that at all? There's nothing on your record?
I mean, I'm sure the reckless is on the record, but my understanding is nothing else is. I'm pretty sure reckless is like a second-degree misdemeanor or whatever, but I mean, whatever it is my attorney told me, look, I have to do pretty much nothing. Like, if I say yes, I'm done.
Okay. And I know there's a distinction between a wet reckless driving and a dry. Do you know if you have that or no?
I don't even know what either of those things are. Okay,
that's fine. I'm just curious. I noticed on your subreddit, people were posting that you, I guess, mentioned last night or something that you were going to go out drinking. You think maybe you should be talking about drinking after all of this, or you just don't care?
Hell yeah, I talk about drinking all the time because drinking's fun. But I encourage responsible drinking. So I didn't drive. Who drove yesterday? Oh, McKay drove yesterday. And he didn't have a single sip to drink.
Okay. Ultimately, like I said, I think many people are going to be dissatisfied that this DUI was eventually turned into a simple misdemeanor. As someone who's been affected by the callous actions of a drunk driver, I don't like seeing a state decide to go soft on crime. I think the silver lining is that at least Kevin was convicted of reckless driving, and I do hope that he learns from this and no longer drinks before he drives, but from the conversation I had with him, it seems he's not taking this that seriously and still thinks he can drink it on occasion as long as his portable breathalyzer says he's under the limit. Let me know what you think about this case. I know a lot of people have different viewpoints, and I'd love to hear all of them.